We're back again. We're back again. We're normally back on Sundays. We take the Saturday off. I was gymming, bench pressing about 250 kgs. And then once I got those Isak quotations, I started bench pressing 350 kgs. But Ben, here we are. Here we are with our biceps and triceps are not popping just yet, but a few raised eyebrows, living off delusion, living off hope. That's the tag that we were, and the label we were getting thrown out from Newcastle fans last night. But it's a bit more than hope, because the Alexander Isak chase is not off. If the chase was off, he'd be in a black and white shirt playing for Newcastle United. Last time I saw it, it was 4-0 to Celtic. I don't know what it finished. But it's an interesting conversation. The story isn't over, Ben. Give me what your instant reaction is to Eddie Howe's comments as of right now.
I think I've seen that meme of from Dumb and Dumber where he says, "So you're telling me there's a chance?" I think I've seen that all over Twitter a few times in the last couple of hours. And that's where I'm at, to be honest. I think deep down, I still think it's a real long shot, but I definitely think that something is happening in terms of there's no way on planet Earth I thought that they were managing his minutes, because he hasn't had any minutes yet and he's been training with them all week. So that definitely got alarm bells ringing with the fact that he was left out. Joel Linton was left out as well for managing minutes, but he was there in the squad on the bench, I think. It was definitely there. And then obviously the news has just literally broken the last half an hour that he said he was sent home.
You're in that BNR Ultras group, so you bear witness as to what I put in there about 20 minutes before these quotations came out. I can't share who I was told about. All I said was, look, this is a good source who I speak to on a daily basis, and he's only sharing opinion. And what he put to me in a WhatsApp thread was, something is happening, Asim. And I forwarded it on the BNR Ultras WhatsApp. And people went crazy. And I said, look, I wouldn't get excited because he's just sharing opinion. 20 minutes later, that hope just rocketed up about God knows what the measurements are. But that's all he said. And I said, look, please calm down. He was just sharing opinion. But I think it's a fact now that Liverpool haven't given up. Let's go to what Eddie Howe said. By the way, there's already nearly 400 people in the chat. Like and subscribe. We're here. I've only got about half an hour or so until I go back to my beloved family who are waiting for me just outside the room until we go off stream as well. Cheen's in the house. He says transfer request incoming. To be fair to Cheen, he said that about 2-3 days ago. Will we get a transfer request? Will this story develop into something like that? If I'm honest, and if I give you my opinion, I think a transfer request will come from Alexander Isak, and whether what Newcastle do from then, it's up to them. At the end of the day, you have to admit, Ben, that they do hold the cards because they've got him on a 3-year contract. Does a transfer request mean he comes to Liverpool? No guarantees at all, but it's all about moving that pressure needle, isn't it? And let's see what happens. And that's what Liverpool can do. Liverpool can crank up that pressure needle as far as possible. They are telling Isak, it's now or never. You are our dream target. You are our number one target. We want you in a red shirt. And he's telling Liverpool, let's be honest, if he wasn't sent home today, then if he was sent home today due to speculation, that means he's not in the right frame of mind. He is pissed off. He is not happy that he has to stay at Newcastle. Let's call a spade, and this is the reason why he is not part of that squad and on the bench and watching Newcastle play football. Where were they playing football today? Glasgow, was it?
Celtic, yeah.
Oh.
Celtic, yeah. Got tonked 4-0. Just to rub it in.
Yeah. Let's go to. Let me get to the quotations, and then I want your thoughts on them. Share screen. There we are. The one and only Josh. Good job. He's around on a Saturday as well. Where are we?
Hats off. You got those quotes from Eddie pretty quick. I think faster than anyone else I could see on the internet. So he knows what he's doing. That's for sure.
100%. Let's go to a few here. It was my decision. I decided to send him due to the speculation around him. I'm just going to check if the screen's fine. Can you all see that? Not that it doesn't matter because of course, you already read him. Give me a quick yes or no. First comment coming through, not coming through. Yes. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
It was my decision. I decided to send him home due to the speculation around him. The last thing he wanted is to be sat around watching. That wasn't fair to him. But I'm confident he will be a Newcastle player come the end of the window. Eddie Howe on Isak again. It's difficult for me to give 100% clarity on any player. Alex is happy at Newcastle. He loves the players, the staff, the team. I'm confident he'll be here at the start of the season. And then it continues. We have a few of those players who are irreplaceable. We're desperate to keep Alexander Isak part of the team. And then you also, before coming on, gave me some comments from, is it Mark Douglas, Ben?
Yes, Douglas MSI, I think it was.
Yeah, I'll quickly read them as well. He talks about the targets as well. We've had a frustrating time in missing out on targets. I'll be open on that. We're confident we can get in some players who can strengthen the team. We wanted more incomings. And then he goes on to say both Joe Linton and Isak are fit, but not ready to play. Alex has trained and is fine, but we didn't want to take a risk with him. On Isak, it's difficult for me. I think that's the same quotation. We have those, and that's the same quotation. There was something else as well.
Let me just find that one. There's something on.
This one.
What's it called?
Howe admits Isak didn't travel today partly because of the speculation around his future to give the player a break from spotlight rather than anything happening. Senses determination at the club to keep him. Says no formal offers for him. Admits Mitchell's disruption has changed things at Newcastle aren't the biggest payers, which has partly not helped efforts on transfers. Give me your thoughts, Ben. Break that down for me.
Yeah, it's really complicated, and I think there's a few things at work here. To be honest, like the comment there about there's been no formal offer, is that them saying, well, if we have a formal offer, then we've got a decision to make, which again in itself is interesting because that formal offer has not come from Liverpool yet. There's also the comments obviously about big payers saying that. I read something else, I think it was earlier on this morning, about the fact that if Newcastle were to give Isak a bigger deal, then bigger money would impact PSR, and that would mean that they would potentially have to make a sale in order to give him that money. And that what makes me wonder where the potential of this Al Halal speculation has come from, because he might have, again, it's all opinion, it's all speculation, but that's what we're here to do. And the idea is potentially, has he gone to Newcastle and said, right, okay, I want to move, I want to go to Liverpool, and they've said, we don't want to sell you to Liverpool, we don't want to sell you to a rival, but so he's saying, right, okay, I want more money, I want the contract to match the 150 to 200 million that you value me at, and they're like, right, okay, if you just want more money, then we'll sell you to Al Hilal for 200 million, and they'll give you, they'll write a blank check. And he's saying, I don't want to go there because that's not where, a player of his caliber should be plying his trade. So there's an interesting second line upon there. And then obviously now he's not a happy bunny, and his head's been turned, and he's now being left out of squads all of a sudden. So it's real, it's happening. It's not going to go away anytime soon. And I think the only way it does go away is if they crack, and they do sell to us, and then obviously it's going to have to be a significant amount of money, or they do have to bite the bottom lip, give him a new deal, maybe with the clause, and then they might have to sell somebody else in order to balance the books from a PSR perspective.
Do you think Liverpool have made another approach?
I think the original approach is still in play. I think that, and I wondered as well. There's just another bit of a bit of information come out that Liverpool are about to go again on Ekitike, with a second bid, and I wonder Liverpool are saying to Isaac's team, right, okay, if you don't make a decision, or if you don't push this transfer really quickly in the next day or two, then we're moving on. So Liverpool, desperately want Isak without a shadow of a doubt, but then they don't want him so much so that it's going to completely impact their summer to the point where I think they want him. They want him sooner. They don't want him on the last day of the transfer window. They want him for pre-season or a big chunk of pre-season. So they're probably putting pressure on Isak to say, we don't want you at all costs. We really want you, and we'll give you what you're worth without a shadow of a doubt. But at the same time, we're not waiting for you forever. So I think the ball's back in Isak's court, and that's why we're seeing this frustration, this kicking up a fuss, or the start of it.
Big up to Gaz, the ever-present Newcastle fan, always in the building, always really respectful as well. And it'd be interesting to see what the perspective is from the Newcastle fans as of now. How do they obviously look? It's our job to absolutely over exaggerate these comments. But what is true is, I think even the Newcastle fans will probably admit as well that it's not 100% confidence from Eddie Howe. If you're quashing rumors, you question speculation, the manager comes out and admits it. Okay, there was some noise and stuff like that, but he loves Newcastle. He's staying here, and he doesn't even say I can't give 100% clarity on the situation. He doesn't admit that he was sent home because of the speculation. Because what Liverpool fans, including me and you, are going to say that the lad's head's turned, and that's what it is.
Yeah,
and that's why he's not playing for Newcastle, and that's the reality. Will be interesting to see what Gaza and the Newcastle fan base think. Just put it in the comments, and I'll bring it up, because it's always good to get the view from the other side as well. But in the meantime, a big up from 2 new members. Big up to Hassan, who's become a YouTube member. Hassan, you're always supporting the channel from day one. You're one of the OG ones. Send me a message, Hassan, on WhatsApp, and I'll send you the BNR Ultras WhatsApp link. Because there have been a lot of people asking me can we get in, but unfortunately we have to keep it fair. The guys who become YouTube members and get exclusive content from us in the next couple of weeks when things are in place. But in the meantime, we can put you in a community, and we can talk football, talk Liverpool, and share a few things on a WhatsApp group. Victor Momo, thank you very much for becoming a BNR Ultra. Once again, please get in touch with either the BNR page on Twitter or myself, and I'll send you the WhatsApp link. I want to put a spanner in the works, Ben. What if we want both?
Like you, Asim.
What if we want both? Let me repeat. What if we want Ekitike and Isak?
That's a really interesting theory, and I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility, for the obvious reason that we're going to lose Darwin. There's a strong possibility we could still lose Chiesa, and as we all know, we've lost Jota, so there is going to be a gap there, and you've got to have to ask the question, who can play centre forwards, or who can rotate with Isak in the 9 role. And there might be a question mark to say, right, okay, we want to squad build for the next 4 or 5 years. And I think the only caveat with that is that you'd like to think Ekitiki's not going to come with a view to being second fiddle. He's going to want to be a pivotal part. But at the same time, we haven't got a bottomless pit. So I would think that the only way we could do both is if we compromise on the left, and that we say something along the lines of the left side is Gakpo, Chiesa maybe, or even Rio becoming more prominent, and then we sell Diaz and Nunes to fund both, and we don't replace Diaz with a Gordon or with a Rodrigo. That's the only thing. That's the only way I think financially that we could do both, because we haven't got a bottomless pit ourselves. I think we're in a really strong position.
Can we do Ekitike, Rodrigo, and Isak if we sell Nunes and Diaz?
So can we do Ekitike, Rodrigo? Did you just say? I don't think we can do all 3. You do the maths there. You're talking. I think if we do get Isak, it's going to be an astronomical amount. I think it's going to be somewhere around 150. Ekitike is going to be 75 plus. Yeah. That's another 225, and then Rodrigo is going to be. So we'd say 300 million for the 3. there or
Yeah, close enough.
thereabouts.
Yeah.
You sell it, even if you sell Elliott, Nunez, and Diaz for 150. Have we got another 150 spare to play with? Even if you sell all the fringe players that we're talking about selling, I think we're in the deficit at the moment, aren't we? Because we haven't really sold anybody of significance other than Kwanzaa, which we assume is to cover a centre back, and Kelleher, which
we hardly spent last summer though.
no, you're right, and I think we have got some serious cash to play with this season, and I think it is definitely we've got room to be able to do 2, but I think 3 would be a push. But who knows? Who knows?
Okay,
It might be something that they commit to.
I'm probably there where you are at the moment. Probably 2 out of 3. If we do get 2, Ekitike and Isak, for argument's sake, I have to keep checking my phone. I'm sorry, my WhatsApp is live at
No,
the
I'm
moment.
looking as well, mate. It's all going on.
It's all going on. I think Josh, there has been something else from Ben Jacobs as well. Liverpool still intend to move for Isak if given any encouragement, whether now or future windows. And there's been one more from Josh. Eddie Howe on Isak and his Newcastle future. Yes, I've had discussions with him, but that's not abnormal. I respect a player's career and how short it is. Alex has been really good. He trained really well. And I realize there'll be a noise around him. Again, Ben, he's not shutting it down.
No, he's not. And you know what? And I'm not taking the piss here, especially with Newcastle fans in the chat. I feel for Eddie Howe because I think it's clear to see that not only is he trying to manage the team, he's also in a position at the moment where he's effectively the DOF, isn't he? He's having to manage this situation off the pitch as well as on the pitch. And, it's really, really difficult for him because I think as well, there's a bit of a chain reaction going on here. I think this has started and the frustration is building by the fact that they didn't get João Pedro when they wanted him. And then they didn't get Ekitike as it appears to be the case. They didn't get Brian and Bremo when they wanted him. I know they've managed to get Alanga over the line, which is good. But now they're looking at a centre back as well. They really want James Trafford, and it looks like City are just going to go bang and blow them out the water for Trafford. So it seems like every time they try and strengthen, they're hamstrung by the fact there's another team with more capital to be able to work with, and that must be so frustrating for Newcastle because the reality is they're the richest club in the world, but because of the rules and because of the restrictions, they haven't got that PSR breathing space. And they might suddenly be thinking to themselves, right, okay, we get all of this headway and all of this breathing space if we just, take it on the chin and lose a big one. That big one being Ekitike. And again, I'm one of probably millions in the football and fan world who doesn't understand PSR, but I think I'm right in saying that if they do one now, then it multiplies over the next 3 years and gives them lots of headway to be able to do stuff. It might be a case of they just can't do upfront fees, so they're having to do stuff over a period when really they could just they could blow anybody out the water if they were given that room. So maybe they're thinking, listen, we could go in, and I think it sounds like they obviously went for Ekitike, and then they were obviously deciding to say, right, okay, can we do a structured payment? Whereas Liverpool have got a position where they can just go, right, we'll just do 50, 60 up front, done and dusted, and then they walk, because I think the line was they've walked away from the Ekitike deal because the structure wasn't right. And whether that's just saving face or whether it's genuine, I think there's a possibility it is genuine, and it is a case of they're just being backed into corner after corner, aren't they? And I wonder whether or not, especially with Isak starting to really kick up a fuss,
Would you
just
thinking, sorry to interject,
No,
Ben.
go for it.
Would you think Newcastle now approached Ekitike just to call Liverpool's bluff, just to get them going, because they knew Ekitike is there if we really, really want him? They probably knew that, he wants Liverpool. He's probably talked to Liverpool, and Liverpool said, okay, fine. But I think, Ekitike himself and his camp knew that Liverpool's dream target is Isak. Exactly. But do you think Newcastle thought, what, we need to get a move on? We don't want Liverpool to come right to the end of the summer. If they have publicly have to paint this picture that we're not selling, but now slowly but surely the narrative is changing. And I say that is because the message that we've just received from Gaz, this message shouldn't have, It would never have come, I don't think, in the last 3-4 days. But this,
Exactly,
what he
and
says
that's
after
exactly what
what?
I'm saying. It's a mood music change, isn't it? And you're giving the fans an opportunity to say, well, at every turn at the moment, we can't strengthen here, we can't strengthen there. So if they go into the season with
Mm,
Isak intact, let's be honest, is it a reluctant Isak, an Isak who will play for Newcastle, and he loves the fans and he loves the team, and he will bang regardless. But in the back of his mind, he's thinking, you know what, I'm not signing a new deal, and I'm going in 12 months' time. Is that the full onboard Isak that they really want? But at the same time, they've got gaps all over the squad where they couldn't strengthen where they really wanted to. And the clock's ticking now, isn't it? It's 3, 4, 5 weeks left of the window all of a sudden, and
mm,
they keep knocking on doors, and they keep getting the door slammed shut, or they keep getting another team come and say, well, we'll do that. We can do that.
mm.
We'll
Uh,
sort that.
and if you want the Isak money, if you actually do decide, like you say, Ben, you don't want to do it in the last week, because
No, you
if
don't.
you've got 150 million pounds in your hands, Isak money, you're
Yeah.
going around the world with that sort of money, and every single deal that you're trying to make, has got
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 million tax on it.
Yeah, well, you think about it. There's players out there now that are going. They could have been in a Gyökeres conversation all of a sudden, couldn't they, a few weeks ago? But that's finished now because our Arsenal are going to wrap him up. I think there's a very good possibility that I think Ekitike absolutely would rather play for Liverpool than he would for Newcastle, because that just, we're a bigger appeal at the moment, because we're obviously champions and we are, a bigger club. That's just a fact. That's not us being sort of entitled. That's just the reality. But at the same time, if we were given the opportunity to pivot to Isaac, you're not telling me that Ekitike wouldn't come to Newcastle and play for them and give his heart and soul for them, because he just wants to further his career. He knows
Mm,
he'll get more money at Newcastle and he'll be in the Champions League regardless. So I think, there's definitely a more of a conversation to have now to say, listen, does this make sense? Because I don't think there's 1 inch of Isaac that wants to go anywhere else other than Liverpool, because I think he'd just stay at Newcastle. I think it's because we've come, and Real Madrid aren't at the table, Barcelona aren't at the table, Bayern aren't at the table, and they could be at the table next summer. And in which case, I don't think that it would be anywhere near as easier thing for us. We're obviously the ones who've got the money, we've got the capital, we've got the desire, we're the champions, so we're the ones who are in for him, and his head has been turned.
I want to ask you, just before I started reading other aggregators' tweets, Isak and Ekitike both come in. We lose Diaz, we lose Nunes. Where is the Gakpo backup then? Are we thinking Rio can back up
Mm,
Gakpo, which I wouldn't really like, if I'm really honest?
no.
Are we
Chiesa,
thinking Chiesa? Are we thinking Wirtz as a second option?
yeah, yeah, that's
Even though I
another
don't
really
like it
strong
myself,
possibility. No,
but
no, but starting there and then drifting, he did do that for Bayern, didn't he? And you've got the natural width of Kerkez as
yeah,
well. So there is a conversation to be had. I think if you said to Slot, you're going to get Isaac, but it means that you would have to, use Verts more off the left on
yeah.
occasions. Then but I don't
Mm,
think Gakpo is it's not like Gakpo's what's called a risk or anything. He had a very good season last season, and if he's given the opportunity to make that position more his own, at least for
yeah.
the first half of the season, then and they you've got Chiesa's more natural position is on the
Mm,
left, so he could definitely give you something. I think somebody said the other day, I'm not a massive fan of him through the middle because he just doesn't impact the game enough. But I think off the left, he can certainly do a job for you in the last 30 minutes of a game without a doubt. And then, they're obviously very excited about Rio as well. And, he's obviously a young kid, but
yeah.
he's certainly somebody who could do something
Yeah,
there
exactly.
as an option.
There's
But I don't
someone.
know, would you say that? Would you rather have Ekitike and Isaac, or Isaac and a Rodrigo/Gordon? Let's just say Rodrigo. It's got to be Rodrigo,
It's
hasn't it?
a,
Surely.
if you ask me right now, I take the Isak and Ekitike.
Really?
Isak and Ekitike is two similar profiles,
Mm.
but because we've got Gakpo, I'd be happy with it.
So
And I don't like words starting on paper on the left, but because we've got Gakpo as a first choice, I wouldn't mind it. I'd take
Do you
that.
think Ekitike would take being second fiddle?
Well, with all due respect, he's not coming from Real Madrid, is he? He's coming from
No, no,
Frankfurt.
you're right. You're right. Yeah, but I'm just thinking if the option there was to go to a Newcastle and be the new spearhead, does
Yeah,
that change the goalposts?
true. But
And I almost feel as though, again, this is such a fascinating triangle. I almost feel as though if we know we're getting Isak, then I actually think that we would categorically pull out
mm,
of the Ekitike deal to almost soften the blow for Newcastle. And it's not like we want to aid them, but
mm,
let's not forget
yeah,
Howe and Hughes are friends here. So then I think if they're saying, right, okay, we're going to do this deal, we're going to allow you to sign Isak, but at the
mm,
same time, we want cast iron guarantee that we can get Ekitike. I think we're saying thanks, but see you later.
yeah. This is a few guys are in the chat saying that Ekitike could play left wing. I don't agree with that. I think there was a Sky Sports
No.
journalist saying that it's he can play in different positions. I think he can play in different positions during the game with through natural fluidity and his tendencies to go to the left and float around, but it has to come from a starting position from the number 9. When you start at left wing, you're expected to hold width, you're expected to stretch your position and track the right back as well. I don't think he does that as well as Luis Diaz. I think Luis Diaz is a touchline winger. Ekitike is a number 9 that can go in those positions in natural fluidity, and he's got really good football IQ. He can pass and connect, just like we've seen him got 12. If someone's given you 12 assists last season, that tells me he's got natural football IQ as well, and he can set up a few of his mates. So, but starting on paper on the left is a completely different role, and I don't
Yeah,
see Liverpool see him as a
agreed.
left winger. They see him as a striker who can facilitate in
Yeah,
different positions through natural
yeah,
fluidity in a similar way. And he's a lot better technically than Darwin Núñez. What Darwin Núñez used to do, where he used to start in the number 9 position and he was the outball as a
drift.
transition monster from the left. And when you become an outball, you're still acting as a left winger during a game, but it's completely different because when you start in a position, then your off the ball duties completely change. And I don't see Ekitike tracking the right back, I think. And so natural fluidity, when he's bombing down, and sometimes he's playing as a second striker off Isak or beside him when we're chasing games. In some occasions, the options are there where you've got Kirkes acting as the width like you touched on earlier, but I don't think he can start as a left winger. I don't think he's that type of
Yeah.
player. 800 people, Ben. 800 people on
For a Saturday afternoon.
For a Saturday afternoon. Smash the likes, get us to 500 and subscribe if you haven't already. I couldn't have said it better than the cops on. Thank you so much.
Anyone
You
think
were
that
going to
there's
say
some
something?
serious news at the moment, flipping heck?
There's more quotes, I think. How on whether Isak will travel with the Newcastle squad to Asia? Yes, absolutely. He's part of our squad at this moment in time. I expect him to come. Okay.
Every sentence is with a caveat, though, isn't it? Every
Yeah.
sentence is a caveat. I think now all of a sudden we're in a situation where next 24, 48 hours are like massive in the fact that I really think now he's had his head turned. I think Gene could be spot on there. I think if that transfer request comes in the next couple of days, then we submit at 120 and we go from there. And then all of a sudden it feels like Coutinho scenario where he's pushing and he's pushing and he's pushing, and then eventually we just have to cave. And it's fascinating how similar the scenario is. And as I say, I don't want to patronize the Newcastle fan base because they're obviously they're the real good club, but the reality is it's very similar to the situation with Coutinho, where we didn't want to sell him at all. He was our best player, but it was an astronomical amount of money, and it allowed us to do 2 serious deals that set us on the path to being where we are today. And it's really interesting that it's a similar scenario, and I think that it's only making it more prominent by all of these doors being knocked by Newcastle and keep for like this Trafford one now. If they really wanted James Trafford, and all of a sudden out the blue, Edison threw in this said that he wants out, and City have said, right, okay, fine, we'll get James Trafford back. That's that another one knocked on the head. So they need a squad, Newcastle. They want to retain that Champions League position. They need a squad, and obviously losing Isak is a huge, huge blow. But then if they've got Ekitike or another significant player who can do, serious numbers for them, and then they can strengthen in other areas, then I think that puts them in a really good position.
The question I ask, Ben, just actually, Red Gaz has become a member as well. Thank you so much, Red Gaz. Get in touch with us on Twitter, whether it's a BNR page or my own page, and I'll send you the WhatsApp link. Thank you so much for sending that through. The Real McCoy, that's what Isak is as well. Ekitike and Wirtz 10. Thank you so much for sending this super chat through. Ekitike and Wirtz 10. I think it will have to be Ekitike from the number 9 position, coming into the left side 10, and then Wirtz coming and playing in the number 10 from the right-sided midfield role on paper. That works. I don't see how it works with Ekitike and Isak on the same pitch.
No, Sam. Do you think they should throw the bid in, Asim?
I think the bid may have to go in,
Yeah, I'm just thinking that now. I've just said literally that he should put in a transfer request and then we bid. But just so many quotes saying the no formal approach. So let's make that formal approach then. I've been arguing with my own mates the last few days saying, like, we wouldn't make the bid unless we know it's going to happen, just out of respect for Newcastle. But maybe it is time to just put that bid in and make them, almost gives them not a get out of jail, but it's like then they can then flip it round and say, well, he wants to go now and the bids come in, so we've got a decision to make. They feel like they haven't got a decision to make at the moment because it's only been inquiries. So maybe it does. Maybe
the question I ask, Ben, is if Isak's head isn't right for a game in Glasgow, is it going to be okay in Asia?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. What's changing? Nothing's changing. The only thing that's changing is that he's getting a new deal, which, let's be honest, he was obviously offered a month ago probably, and he hasn't signed that new deal. And I don't think it's because they don't want to give him it. I think it's because they haven't got the PSR headroom to be able to do it. Because why wouldn't they have already done it? Surely they would have done it by now, and he would have accepted it by now. So I feel like that's not happening, unless this is just a huge ploy to get him a ridiculous contract and a transfer and a clause. Maybe, but I just think he would have signed that deal now. So what actually changes? The only thing that changes is that they let him go.
What do you think that first bid is?
I think it's 120, like we've been muting. And then we go from there, because that's another thing that's really interesting, is that we're not messing about here. We're not going in with a 90 million or 100 million euros, etc. We're starting at 120, which is basically a view to saying, we'll find a compromise around probably the 150 mark. But it depends on obviously how far Liverpool are prepared to go. But you're also accepting that if we're in the middle, if we're going in at 120, then they're basically saying we're going to let him go. It's just we're going to try and squeeze as much as we can. But at the same time, you can't squeeze too much because you got to spend it. So they can't spend the next month trying to get us to 150 plus, because it'll be so public, it'll be so out there that they'll be in a situation where they're like, right, okay, a week to go with the window, we've got 150. What do we do? And all of a sudden they have a Andy Carroll situation where they just go and blow it on somebody who they think is going to do the business, and they haven't done the due diligence, and they haven't done all of the work around it, and they go and waste it. So to me, the obvious replacement is Ekitike, who is there on a plate for them. And so that makes sense. That's the only way that I think this works, because he's the one player that, because they've got to be careful. If they need to know that they can get someone to replace him. Like Vissa is the next choice, and he probably is going to just gone up 20 million now, because Mbeumo deal's done for Manchester United for 70 million. So all of a sudden they're like, well, we're fine. We don't need to let Vissa go anytime soon. So that's another one that's going to cost more money. who else is left? Osimhen, maybe?
Yeah.
Sesko? They need
Is
someone.
there as much as we're told the Yakatike deal is advancing,
Mm,
is there a chance where we just back out if we get Isak?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we are in that stronger position now where we're literally saying to Ekitike, "You're our man if Isaac doesn't happen," and I think he's just accepting that. And I think him and his camp will go to either, but they'd obviously prefer Liverpool. So I think we are, as much as Newcastle are in a really strong position with the 3 years left, we're in a really strong position in the fact that we've got first choice on Ekitike one way or the other.
Hmm.
And if he doesn't come to us, then he's there for Newcastle.
Gut feeling, Ben. Do we get Isak or not?
I think we might now, I really do. I think it's on because I just think there's just no smoke without fire. And when he's had his head turned, he doesn't want to come out publicly and say that he wants to leave. I can see that because he obviously loves Newcastle. He loves the fans, but he's doing what he's doing. And Eddie Howe is not stupid. He knows the situation. He's not picked him in a meaningless friendly. What happens next week? Does he spend a week with the team? He's just spent a week with the team, and they're all probably saying, "Stay, stay." We're going to be, we're going to be great and stuff like that. And he's like, "This is my only chance to go to a huge club in England. This is it. This is my chance." And I think he would get opportunities next summer, but it's like it's you don't get many chances to play for the Reds, mate.
Okay.
Especially when we're champions.
Gaz is back. He says the news from our end now, guys, is when Isak first signed, Amanda Staveley promised Isak a big deal if he proved himself in the Prem. He's fulfilled his side of it. Then obviously she left. There was
So have they offered him the contract? He hasn't signed it, has he?
but the thing is, Ben, like, look, he does want more money. I think he'll get more money at Liverpool. I think we'll be offering him around 250 grand a week. I think he's on about 150 at the moment, so he'll easily be on around 250. I think we're giving Verts around 220 maybe, or around between 200 and 250 is somewhere around there. The earlier reports were that we're going to give Verts around like Salah's wages, but that was absolute nonsense. But Gaza's comeback is the club still haven't offered him a new deal, and that's why he's unhappy. But the problem is
what did I? Sorry, go on.
They've got PSI issues, haven't they? So
exactly,
if you're not going to sell him,
they can't.
Exactly.
They can't. And am I right in saying that there's 4 other players at the club who are on more money than him?
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's Gameres, Joe Linton, Gordon, and whoever else it is. And I think to yourself, you're the star player at a team, and he is the star player. He's the best player by a country mile. They're valuing him at 150 to 200 million, but he's the 5th highest player at the club. So it's like, there's your leverage. It's like, offer us the deal and we'll sign it. And I think he would stay in Newcastle, but they don't really want to or can afford to do it because they're screwed over it.
And if you're Isak, if you're not letting me go, then pay me like the top dog.
Exactly.
You're putting out reports through your northern correspondence. Is this player is worth around 150 to 200 million pounds? Then give me those wages then.
And Newcastle want their cake and eat it to a certain degree, in the fact that they want him to stay, they want him to bang, take them back to the Champions League, blah, 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 but they're not prepared to pay him to match his salary of a star player, and that's just the reality of the situation. So, put up or shut up.
Exactly. Ash with the super chat. Thank you so much, Ash. Always supporting the channel. Feels like the next Romano Bomba will swing this one way or another. Isak must be looking at Ekitike's situation, thinking I might only have 24 to 48 hours, 100% to make this happen. I think Isak pushes for the move now. And I've just tweeted out just what I just said earlier to you, that if his head's not right for a footy game in Glasgow, then I think his head's not right to be traveling the best part of Asia around with this squad and with the team, with an absolute face on I'm not going to say like a dog's ass, but he's going to be really unhappy that he does not get one, his dream move, 2, a contract, maybe not an extension, but a pay rise. So this is your star player. He's got 3 years, but Newcastle will want, if they have got serious intentions, I think at the moment, if I'm really honest, and I don't want to say this just by I'm saying it with my Liverpool cap on. I think Newcastle's ego is getting into the way at the moment, and that's easy for
100%.
me to say as a Liverpool fan because I want Alexander Isak in a Liverpool shirt. But at the moment, it feels like Newcastle are not helping themselves. And just like Gaz, a Newcastle fan, is saying that we might just have to bite the bullet and see, okay, he's our star player. And I kept on saying this, and I said it around about 4 or 5 weeks ago, where I think this may need to be that Philippe Coutinho moment. Take the £142 million like we did and go get a Van Dijk and go get an Alisson. That you might not be able to get that level of player that we did in Alisson and Van Dijk, but you can seriously invest into the team with 3-4 really good additions, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that ego, I think, comes from the fact that they are the richest team in the world, and that is killing them. It's absolutely killing them. It's killing the fan base. It's killing the club because they're literally sat there with bags of money, but with their hands tied behind the back. But the fact is, the rules aren't changing anytime soon, and that's just the way that it works. So they've got to make a decision as to how this is going to play out. And I think now it's Liverpool need to drop that bid, that Ornstein, Paul Joyce, back off his holidays, 120. Right, let's start having a conversation about whether this is possible because there's too much mood music now. And I think Liverpool will not want to have made that bid unless they feel as though it's perfectly possible. But at the same time, I think we've got to box clever. What they'll do is, if this is how it plays out, they put the bid in for Isak, and the mood music will be, we want both, because we're still in negotiations for Ekitike, remember? So that's where that source potentially is right in saying that we do want both. But what will happen is, though, if we can sort out Isak, then all of a sudden we'll say, well, we couldn't come to an agreement with Frankfurt over Ekitike, so we're withdrawing from that now. And that would not be the case. It's just that we've got to be respectful. We can't say, oh, we've decided to bin off Ekitike because we know we can get Isak. We've got to pitch it correct. And we've got to say, right, well, absolutely would love both. But if Isak becomes a reality, then we'll say we couldn't come to an agreement with Ekitike. And then obviously Newcastle will have the opportunity to jump straight in there. And they'll have to be quick because all of a sudden Chelsea might just rob them.
What isn't good is what Gene says, 900 plus in the building and only 200 likes. Come on, people. Come on. Even Newcastle fans would like this with the stream. I can guarantee you Gaz has smashed this stream. If Newcastle fans are smashing a like on the stream, then I'm sure you guys are as well as Liverpool fans. And because Liverpool fans, be delusional as much as you want today, because we've got the hope that this deal is not over. There is something that is happening behind the scenes, but people are asking us to react to Indy Carlier's tweet. I think I'm paraphrasing now. He basically said it wasn't Eddie Howe's decision that Isak doesn't play. It's Isak's decision that he doesn't play. And if that's true, then Ben, then this situation is a lot more serious than what we're talking about.
100%, yeah. And that could well be the case because Eddie Howe's going to protect his players
100%.
until the cows come home, because he's protecting them from a manager's perspective as opposed to a DOF's perspective. But he's actually doing both roles to a certain degree at the moment. Again, I feel for him. It's a really difficult situation. But you look now, we've been on stream for the last 45 minutes. And the messages all over Twitter, it's all out there in the public eye now. Isak didn't play. He didn't play, and it'll consume everything. It'll be like Van Dijk and Salah's contract for Slot all the way through the majority of the season. And I don't know whether Eddie Howe has got the time or the energy or the will to have to just spend the next month fending off questions, because that's all he's going to be asked about now. And every time he tries to go for a player in the next couple of weeks and doesn't get him, then all of a sudden the pressure goes again. It's like, well, you could have got him if you had the money from Isak. You could have got him, and they keep out. I know it sounds like a record got stuck, but those doors keep getting slammed shut, and all of us, you wonder whether or not they're just thinking, you know what, we don't need this shit. Let's go and get Ekatike, and then we can build a squad, and the music goes away, because the fans will suddenly decide, well, if he doesn't want to play for us, they're a proud bunch of fans like us. You know, if we're giving shit to Konate, saying that if he doesn't want to sign that deal, then I don't want to see him in a Liverpool shirt because of what's happened with Trent. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Newcastle fans are very similar. He's refusing to play for Newcastle in a meaningless friendly. What about if he refuses to play for them in the first game of the season? You know, we don't want to let it get anywhere near that, do you? So you just wonder whether or not a couple of the fans start saying, right, you know what, if he doesn't want to be put on the black and white, then let him go.
Yeah. Great is asking, asked him, are we at Isak feelings yet? Great, look, I always maintained that we will bid or make approach. I said that a long time ago. But the difference between Florian Wirtz and Frimpong and Kirkes, all these guys who come to the club, is the club won't stopping them. They won't, and this is a slightly different situation. We know Isak wants to come, but let's see how strong and how egotistical Newcastle are. But there's still time. There's 5-6 weeks to go until the window closes. So let's see what happens. We've been going for 45 minutes. There's still 900 people. Ben, let's ask the chat. Chat with not with your hearts, with your minds. Will Alexander Isak be a Liverpool player next season? Yes or no in the chat. With your minds, please. With your minds, because I know what the answer is going to be if I say hearts. Let's see what the chat says. Ali, of course, he's always going to say yes. Zach says no. Mahir, no. MHS, no. Plenty of no's. I think at the moment it's
some yeses though.
Yeah, plenty of yeses. Kieran,
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. What does Brad Pitt say?
He says yes.
Roshan, don't give me a 50-50. Give me a yes or no, man. There's no time to sit on the fence.
50-50.
I think it's about 50-50.
I think it is, yeah.
I think it's about 50-50. Not Isak, but the chat is.
Nick says,
Ali,
what do you guys think?
Oh my God.
Oh.
I'm not going to sit on the fence. Ali, I think Alexander Isak is going to be a Liverpool player. I think so. But there's plenty of more story to develop yet. That's what I'm saying.
I'm a yes as well. I was absolutely a no 24 hours ago. So they done me over good style. But I just hope that this is all part of a very, very smart tactical game behind closed doors from Howe and Hughes. And this is how this has got to play out. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, people. There we are. You got my bomber. Smash a like and let us know what you think about the whole situation. There'll be plenty of people saying we're getting overexcited. That's fine. We're here to fans to. Oh, Sachin says wait. Okay, let's wait. Exclusive.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? You're allowed to get excited, aren't you? Because we're in such a good position. We've already signed some quality players, so let's get excited. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if it does, my word.
What are we waiting for, Chin? Be quick. I need to be somewhere.
He might be on the phone to Avi.
Cursed it now, Asim. he says wait, and then he disappears.
Yeah, he's definitely on the phone to one of Avi's burners.
He says wait. And now he's saying no. What does that mean? Ash, the aggregator. He said he's joking. Oh, what an idiot. Close the show. Okay, people are asking, are we back tonight? I don't know yet. It depends when I'm back from where I'm going now. Smash a like on the way out. The story has just started. Something is happening. You never know. Take care. We'll see you later, and bye for now.